Your mind is limitless. The possibilities are endless. Awaken Your Mind Magic shows you how you can dream limitlessly and live your life on a new level. Susan Kathleen speaks with ordinary people who are living extraordinary lives using the power of their mind.
Silver on the outside, gold on the inside. Silver on the outside, gold on the inside. Silver on the outside.
Abundance, prosperity, and success. There are no limits to what you can dream. Join Susan Kathleen on a journey into your dreams, making a difference and living life on your own terms. This is Awaken Your Mind Magic.
Hello and welcome everyone. My guest speaker today is Korrin Barrett, who comes from Havelock, New Zealand with her life, and she lives with her life partner, Craig. And Korrin, I honestly believe to be one of the top 5 most inspirational women I have ever met in all my years. And I've been around for some length of time, believe you me. I had the good fortune to meet Korrin, who was a keynote speaker at an event in New Zealand around this time last year. In fact, it was March, we were just saying, and it's May now. And I handed her a flyer without even thinking. And when she took it, I noticed she had a bionic means of grasping it and one of the biggest smiles in the room. The most amazing, beautiful face. She is a quad amputee, sepsis survivor, inspirational speaker, mentor, brand ambassador, empowerer, and her company is Life Unlimited, a perfect name for Korrin. In 2012, while living in Australia, Korrin was rushed into hospital after mismanagement of a medical condition led to emergency surgery and admission to the intensive care unit for an undetected bowel perforation. And this vivacious, fit and healthy 30-year-old with everything to live for was put into an induced coma and given a 5% chance of survival. I am so happy and grateful that she's blessed us all with this interview today. So welcome, Korrin. It's so good to have you with us today on Awaken Your Mind Magic.
Thank you so very much. It's absolutely an honour to be a part of this today and see you again and have a chat and just share a little bit more of my story and hope that I can inspire some people out there to get out and do things that they might be putting off doing.
Well, Korrin, you're such a brave and inspirational life. Your story, let alone you're brave and it's inspirational, and the story is from adversity to positivity. And you do it all with an incredible sense of humor. You are one of the funniest people I know as well. Just delightful. And I think of the PowerPoint presentation I watched when you were presenting and the humor you have between yourself and your partner, Craig. It's just delightful. Tell us your story.
Okay, so as you mentioned, I had sepsis back in 2012. So I went to hospital with some abdominal pains. My mum had recently passed away from bowel cancer, so I went and had some investigative tests done. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is inflammation of the bowel, and very quickly deteriorated with that condition. I didn't really get a chance to try and manage it in any way. I was admitted to hospital on Father's Day, of all days. So we went into the emergency department. They did blood tests and a few tests and things, but they couldn't really find what was wrong. So I ended up being in that hospital for 7 days before they picked up that my bowel had perforated. So that was with numerous x-rays, but there was a lot of things that were going wrong as well. They kept losing my test results and not testing things that they should have been, all sorts of stuff. So that's when they detected my bowel perforation. I was rushed in for emergency surgery, came out of that with an ileostomy bag. I was quite young, fit, healthy, social, career-orientated woman who suddenly had this bag on my stomach that I was required to poo into, which is not, I thought at that time that my life was over. I thought, how am I going to cope with this? But little did I know that was the least of my problems, because 2 days later I was rushed in for another emergency surgery, and that one I didn't wake up from. So I actually aspirated on the operating table, which means that I vomited and my lungs failed, and that was the sepsis kicking in. My body was starting to shut down. So I woke up 9 days later in a completely different hospital and had to be told constantly where I was and what had happened. I was very heavily drugged up. I wasn't supposed to survive. So they gave me a 5% chance of survival while I was in the induced coma, and constantly told Craig to prepare himself and my family and friends for the fact that I wasn't going to survive the night. And then I woke up. So Craig used to say to them, "You don't know Korrin. She's pretty tough." So, and then obviously as a result of being in the induced coma and the machine that I was on, that's actually called ECMO, it's an oxygenated pump. It was providing oxygen to my heart and my lungs to keep me alive, but it couldn't get to my hands and my feet. So when I woke from my coma, my hands and feet had turned black and almost like gangrene, and they had to be amputated. So my legs were amputated first, and then 6 weeks later I had the first of many operations on my upper limbs, on my arms. So I lost all the fingers on my left hand and my right arm to mid-forearm. But I'm still here, and I figure this was obviously the path that I was meant to walk, quite literally, on prosthetic legs. And yes, so it's been quite a life-changing event, but I do feel that it was 100% meant to happen to me. And yeah.
Korrin, as a young woman, and a very vivacious, beautiful young woman, when you were told that they were going to take off your limbs, what went through your mind?
Well, initially with my legs, so we got a second opinion because obviously it was a big decision to make. But they also said that if they didn't amputate my legs, that the disease that was in my blood would get to my heart and it would kill me. So that kind of took that decision away from me. And I guess the first thing that I said to them was, I'm going to walk again, so it's going to be okay. I think losing my hands was a lot harder to deal with. But it was stupid things that came into my mind when they first told me that I was going to lose my right hand and possibly my left hand. Was, how am I going to straighten my hair? And, Craig would say, what about feeding yourself and going to the bathroom and getting dressed and stuff? And all I was worried about was straightening my hair. But then my hair all fell out anyway, so I didn't have to worry about it, because obviously with all the drugs and the trauma of everything I'd been through, my hair decided to fall out. So luckily I suited short hair. And but it was quite a trying time. And you do worry. I mean, anyone would worry being told that they're going to lose their limbs. Body image is a huge thing, especially as a young woman. And, I was the fittest and healthiest I'd ever been prior to getting sick, which was probably what saved my life. But it was quite a lot to take on board. But I guess I just had to keep thinking, instead of what I've lost, but what I've still got and what I had gained through my experience.
What took you through those months of rehab and also while you lay in your bed in hospital. Was there anything that created a strength, a mindset, an awakening?
Yeah. So I had a lot of nights, obviously lying alone in my hospital bed. I think I spent 223 days in hospital, so that's a lot of bad food. But yeah,
for sure.
we all know. But and I did lie there. I mean, in the initial days, I did have times. It wasn't all the time, and it wasn't every night, but I did have times where I lay there thinking, why didn't I just die? Why did I survive this? How was I going to get through this? How was I going to have any kind of life? I told Craig to leave. I said, no, our life is never going to be the same, all these sorts of things. But one of the pivotal moments for me was my boss came in to see me in the hospital, and he had this giant canvas card, get well card, that had been signed by the whole project that I'd been working on. And he said, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs, and no matter what ability and capability you have, your job is still waiting for you. And that was probably a really pivotal moment for me, because I was very career orientated, and my biggest fear was that I would never work again. So I think that helped me turn that corner to, I need to get fit, and I need to get strong, and I need to get back on my feet, so to speak, and get back to work. So that was a huge one. And then it was also the support I had around me, and I guess my competitive nature. I'd always played, competitive netball and touch rugby, and been a runner and all these sorts of things. So I started to challenge myself to achieve things, and it gave me something to look forward to. And then I made sure that I rewarded myself for each thing. And it could have been something as simple as lifting my arm off the bed, to then standing on prosthetic legs, to taking my first steps. So I think that drive and the determination that I had already had previously really helped me in the time that I needed it.
It's incredible what a mindset can do and what you can achieve. Can you share with the listeners what it was that you were doing? Because I see hard hats and all sorts of things in construction sites. Let them know more about your career and what you were doing at the time.
So I was working for Origin Energy on the largest gas pipeline project in Australia. So it was for the AP LNG pipeline project. I had started on that project early in 2011, I think it was. And then I very quickly got promoted up through different roles. So I started off doing permits and approvals. So everywhere the pipeline went under a road or under a rail line or under power lines, we had to have all the permits and approvals in place. So that was my initial role. And then by the time that I actually got sick, 2 weeks prior to going into hospital, I'd been promoted to traffic and transport manager. So I always say that's not in charge of the stop go signs on the side of the road. I actually was in charge of mitigating the impact that our pipeline trucks were having on the roads, because we had so much traffic and they were so heavy. We had to make sure that the roads were up to standard. So I had a lot to do with Department of Transport main roads in Australia, all the local councils. We had to work through all the agreements we needed in place, create, better their roads for them so that we could actually continue our project. So it was very full on, lots of site visits. So that's where I got to wear the hard hats and go out and see what was actually happening. So it was quite fun. But I really enjoyed it, and it was long hours, but it was really rewarding as a job. And I was extremely lucky to go back to work 4 days after I got out of hospital. So
4 days. Oh my goodness, you are a determined girl.
No, a whole lot of people said to me, you're absolutely crazy. why don't you stay at home? You've got income protection. And I said, I've just spent 7.5 months staring at four walls in 3 different hospitals. The last thing I want to do is stare at the four walls of my house. So, yes, I did go back to work. It was in obviously a slightly different capacity, but I did go back to doing my role. And I used to joke with my boss about the fact that it cost me an arm and 2 legs to get my own office and my own bathroom. So, yeah. So,
I love how you just your sense of humour.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really have much choice. My partner Craig is very inappropriate with his jokes, and he's used humour through this the entire time that I was in hospital and ever since. And I think the worst one that everyone thinks of is the day I lost my legs, when he said, "Backyard cricket sorted, we've already got the stumps."
Oh.
It's terrible. And it's really bad. Now he pulls up outside a second-hand shop and says, "Let's go get you a second-hand," and all sorts of stuff. So, but it has been our absolute saving grace to
Well, absolutely. And you've got such a wonderful relationship with him as well. It's lovely. It's lovely to see. Tell us about your rehab.
So I ended up being in a place called Garu, which is in Brisbane. It's part of Princess Alexandra Hospital. So it's geriatric and rehabilitation unit. So I was definitely the youngest one there for a while. And it was quite difficult. I ended up with a whole lot of grandmother and grandfather figures in the rehab unit that all sort of took me under their wing, and it was quite lovely. I formed amazing relationships with these people and the nurses. I mean, the nurses became family because you were living with these people 24/7. So it was very difficult. I had to relearn to do everything again, and it was, I mean, initially in the first days I had to learn how to cough again. I'd been flat on my back in a hospital bed for so long that I'd lost all of my muscle in my whole body and everything. So, and then it was getting to the rehab unit, getting my prosthetics made, taking those first steps, and then eventually walking around the hospital with, initially it was a forearm support frame, and then I started walking with nothing. And it was just, every day was a learning curve and something new to learn. And then occupational therapy, because I had to learn how to do things like go to the toilet on my own, feed myself, do my makeup, do my hair, get dressed, all these things that had been taken away from me. And typing on my iPad, I originally was typing with my elbow of my right arm, and I'd type away, and then I found out that I could buy things off eBay. So all of a sudden I had all these parcels arriving and clothes and things, and then I was buying stuff for the nurses, and it was, it was a trying time. It was 5 months of rehab, solid rehab, and obviously many, many months after that when I got home. But I wouldn't change it, because it definitely helped me become independent and get to where I am today.
So you are a true bionic woman wonder.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about you choosing your legs. I like that story. The one where you chose the length of your legs.
Oh. So initially, when you're first learning to walk on your prosthetic legs, they make them quite short, because obviously they want you to be closer to the ground if you have a fall and things like that. But being bilateral amputee, I was able to actually choose the height that I wanted to be. I had already been quite tall. I'm already tall anyway, so I think I'm 5'9.5", 5'10", and so I wanted to go back to that, because I mean, all of your skirts and your pants and everything you've owned based on your height, and then all of a sudden I was 2 or 3 inches shorter than normal, so nothing fitted properly. So I was like, get back into the into the prosthetics and make me back the height I am, and they were like, "Oh, it's too tall," and but it is a benefit of being bilateral. You can choose the height that you want to be. I have got a friend who she was quite short and she lost both of her legs. Her husband, I think, is 6'4", so she wanted to be taller, and now she is. So it's got to have its benefits. And then I've since had osseointegration on my legs, so that's what makes me bionic, because I've got titanium implants in my tibia bones, and then I have small rods that poke out the bottom of my legs. For me, the decision to do that was more based around independence and quality of life. I couldn't put my old prosthetics on myself. I had to have silicone liners that are in socks and then stomp into my leg, and they would never fit properly and all sorts of things. And I could only stay at certain people's houses that knew how to help me with my legs and things like that. So having the osseointegration has meant that I have full independence now with putting my legs on and off myself. I can walk further than I ever could on my old legs and stand for longer periods of time. I walk more naturally now because it's a more natural gait of walking. I have now just signed up to do a 60-kilometre challenge over May and June, so that should put it.
I saw that on Facebook. I thought, wow.
So I'm always up for a challenge and to try and help out other charities and organisations and things, because I think, well, if I can do it, then anyone can get out and do it. So it encourages other people to get out there and do stuff.
It certainly does. And what I love about you, Korrin, is nothing holds you back. So let us know more about your decision to becoming an inspirational speaker. What led you into that?
So I should say that I had an absolute fear of public speaking before all of this happened. Like, you could not have paid me to stand up in front of a group of people and talk in any way, shape or form. But when I was still in hospital, I think it was about a month and a half before I got out of hospital, I previously to going into hospital, I had been on the Australian Institute of Office Professionals committee as their treasurer, and they actually asked me to come and speak at their breakfast. So they used to have an annual breakfast every year, and I was so nervous and just thought, oh, this is going to be the worst thing in the world. But I thought, they said it's only 5 to 7 minutes. Just tell your story quickly and you can hop off the stage. And you get breakfast and you get to meet a few people, and the mayor's going to be there and all sorts of things. So I thought, oh, why not? So I got up there and ad-libbed and just told my story, and I felt like I was talking a million miles an hour and just went and made a few people laugh and made a few people cry, and then sat back down at the table and breathed, because I don't think I'd taken a breath the whole time. And Ben Davis, from the radio over there, he was the MC, and he was sitting next to me at the table, and he said, that was absolutely incredible. And I said, I have an absolute fear of public speaking. That was the worst thing I could ever think of doing. He just said that, he was blown away by it and how well I did. And I think it just kind of grew from there. And the next one I think I did was a friend's school. So it was, year 7 to 9 at school. And when you're talking to that sort of age, they're so open and they don't really have a filter, and they just want to know everything. And was there much blood when they chopped off your legs to watch your favourite movie and things? And so that made it quite easy because it was quite relaxed. But I think
children ask questions straight from the hip, don't they? They shoot from the hip.
Yeah, there's no holding back. I think the hardest part with doing younger age groups is you've got to be so careful how you answer things, because obviously I don't want to scare them for going to hospital and things like that. So you've got to be very, prim and proper about your answer and keep it lighthearted so that they don't freak out about it and stuff. But I started to realize that telling my story was actually having an impact. And it's a lot easier to get up on a stage and talk about yourself or something that you know, because obviously it's lived experience, than it is to get up and talk about how many road permits we've got for the project that I was working on. So I just grew from there, and the feedback that I got really pushed me to keep going and sharing my story. And I started doing more and more schools, and then a few workplaces, and then when we decided to move back to New Zealand, I thought, we'll come back here and I'll be sort of quite casual about it and a little bit more relaxed lifestyle, and I'm busier than I've ever been. Well, prior to COVID-19.
Prior to.
Yeah.
One good thing about being locked down for 7 months in hospital, you've had good training.
Oh, yeah.
You know what it's like to be locked down.
Yeah, and especially with Craig.
Yeah, there you go. I've heard from a lot.
Yeah, being together 24/7. So.
Oh, there's a lot of people who are talking about, when are we going to go back to normal? But I don't really think the world will ever be the way it was before.
No.
I believe we've all had this chance now to regroup and rethink, and things are different.
Yeah.
Already.
And it's
so tell
really,
me.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, carry on.
I was just going to say, it's really like, because we found we were so busy and always on the go, and amongst all of this, we're trying to build a house. And so we had that happening, and then we had, I think there was 18 flights booked over this time that we had to cancel, and we were just going to be here, there and everywhere, and we had a Europe trip booked and all these sorts of things to look forward to, and it was all very exciting. But it's given us a chance to sort of sit back and relax and just go, hold on a minute, we actually need to take a breath and just enjoy this time to catch up on the things that you keep putting off and all these sorts of things. And it's given me a chance to carry on with my book and do things that I keep saying, I want to do this and I want to do that. But I do think it's obviously been extremely difficult for people in the economy. People's livelihoods have been taken away and things like that, and I do feel for them with that. And like you, I don't think we're going to return to what we were before, and if not for a very long time anyway. So it's just going to be our new normal, which is kind of what I had to accept when this all happened. My new normal.
Well, it's very interesting. I've spoken to quite a few people, and what they all say is, I don't want to go back to how it was. I was too busy to even think straight.
Yeah, and to just smell the roses and enjoy life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something that really sort of hit home to me while we were speaking about COVID-19 and everything, and how universe or quantum metaphysics works. Had you not had this accident and this situation, you wouldn't be this incredible, well-known international inspirational speaker. And you possibly would not have had a job with a hard hat on.
No.
However, you do now, and it continues, and you can do it via Zoom or whichever, Skype or any of these mediums. And the power of your voice and your message still goes worldwide. And this is what universe does. It puts you on this earth for a reason. And like you say, when you were saying why me, you start to have the epiphany of, well, this is why. And this is how I have to live it, so I can understand other amputees and other people who are in a wheelchair and things like that. Because without that being part of your life and part of what you've lived through and are living through, one can never associate totally. You can empathize or sympathize, but you cannot associate the mindset of a person unless they've lived through or are living through what you're going through. Korrin, let us know more about the places you go and speak, because I mean you're pretty diverse. You go through companies, sports groups, schools, charities. Talk more about this so that the listeners who are listening will be able to contact you with your contacts towards the end of this chat. I'm not letting you go yet because you're too fascinating. But tell us more about them.
So I was extremely lucky to work with a company here locally in Hawke's Bay that helped me with my website and everything, and they got me thinking about how my message can be diversified to suit different groups, because I was doing a lot of schools and I really enjoy the schools because I think it's that age group, they're quite influenced by everything that's going on around them, and I get a lot of feedback from their parents a lot of the time saying, my son has come home from school, never talks about his day, and has not shut up about this amazing lady that came and showed off her robot arm today. So, and then we started to look at how my message, because the message is always the same. It's about resilience, and it's about mindset, and it's about not giving up. But it's also about setting goals, and it's challenging yourself. And so it can be structured to suit different groups. So I can go into, I've spoken in quite a few rest homes, and it's always a lovely experience because they all want to give me a hug at the end of it, and they all would say that they'd be honoured to have me as their grandchild and things like this, which I absolutely love. So, and then they say, come back and have a cup of tea with us and things like that. But my message to them is obviously, that some of them are in stages of their lives where they're sort of just ticking along, and they get quite a bit of inspiration from me, which I really enjoy the fact that I can give them a message of, some things can happen to you in your life, but it doesn't mean that you have to give up and keel over and decide that that's it. And then with the sporting groups, you can focus on all the goals and the challenges and things like that. And then the schools is obviously, so my message is often the same, but I can just tell it in different ways to suit the environment. Or last year I did a contractors awards, civil contractors awards evening. So it was, quite a male dominated industry, but I could use my experience from the project that I worked on in Australia to bring that into my talk. And I think that grabbed their attention because they were like, whoa, that's cool. She's worked on this huge steel gas pipeline, but she's also a quad amputee who then went back to work and carried on doing her job. So, and then it was a lot around mental health and mindset and, things like that. So I really enjoy it, and I hope that I can do more, and I'd love to take it nationally and internationally more to get my message out onto the worldwide stage, hopefully.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And I wouldn't even say hopefully, I'd say positively, because you're incredible. And I mean, I just warmed to you straight away. What I want the listeners to know is she is funny. She is really funny. I mean, she could be, I was going to just say, now Craig's going to like this one, a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
I love that too. Do you ever work with any of the rugby teams or cricket teams, people that, the people with the sort of a British background can associate with as well?
I haven't yet, but I'm hoping to try and obviously with everything that's happened, all the sporting industries but I think this is probably quite a good time too, to get in just as they're sort of gearing up to get back into their season and things. So I have just recently been thinking about I should just put put some feelers out there, so to speak, and just sort of say, if anyone's interested in me coming along and having a chat to the team or, to the organisation or group, and just give a little bit of positivity into a situation that, has sort of been forced upon us, and, not many people know how to deal with it.
Well, you certainly do, because you've been in this environment for some time now, and as an inspirational speaker for people who, I don't think many people realize that when they're feeling really low during COVID-19 and the lockdown and everything, is they're going through massive depression because they're dealing with something that's a massive loss. It's changed. It's as if, it's a death of a world we knew.
Yeah.
And so dealing with grief, massive grief as well. And you are the ideal person to speak to so many people. And I think you could even teach the All Blacks how to do the haka as well, because why not? You could do that.
Oh, yeah, it'd be my own version of it, but it would look pretty good.
That would be good. They could, do their own thing. It could be the bionic haka.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Definitely.
Why not? Tell us your whys. Your whys. Why do you do what you do?
I do it. My biggest why is because I can. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got the opportunity to do this, and it wasn't something that I, 10 years ago, before all this happened, I would never have sat there thinking I'm going to be a motivational speaker in my next life and all these sorts of things. So because I can do it, I want to do it, and it's such a reward to me to know that if I go and speak to a room of 5 people or 5,000 people, if one of those people in that room is impacted by what I have to say, then that's all I need. It's not for money. It's not for anything else. It's to hopefully change someone else's life. So
now we met each other last year at a mutual friend's amazing man, Rob, and we were talking at it was a seminar for people who were suicide survivors or people who had gone through the process of committing suicide. And sadly, at this time, there are a lot of people with that intention or those low feelings. What's your advice to people who are going in the down dip with a big black dog of depression? Ooh.
It's a real difficult one, because people often will say to me, "Oh, how are you so positive all the time?" or "You're always smiling," or "You're always 100% happy." And I can 100% say that it's not realistic. I am not 100% happy all the time and 100% positive, because it's not sustainable to be that as a person. I do try to maintain a level of positivity as much as I can, but I have learned over the years that if my body and my mind needs to have a cry or to have a down day or a day where I just decide I'm not going to get out of my pajamas today, I'm going to sit around and watch TV all day and feel sorry for myself, it's actually okay. It really is okay to have that, but you just can't let it consume you. So I think the hardest thing is trying to pick yourself up out of it, but you just have to know that tomorrow is going to be a better day. So embrace the day for what it is, and the feelings and the moment and everything around it, but truly try to pick yourself up the next day and make it a better day. And it can be just something really simple of focusing on one positive thing that is happening or has happened or is about to happen, and focus on that. So I think I'm always looking forward instead of looking back. And I think that is what's really helped me get through some of those dark days and down moments, because yeah, I do have them. I'll be real. They
Well,
have.
absolutely. And, you know, this is where we condition from childhood to be brave and not talk about these feelings.
Mm,
And your advice to the listeners and to me is you're allowed. You're allowed to feel low.
because we
However,
are human.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, however, pick yourself up the next day, or if it's 2 days, well,
Yep.
then
So
it's time to pick yourself up.
yeah. But
Do
yeah,
you
do
have
talk to
any?
someone if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree with you there as well, and it is very good advice. I mean, I've been through dark nights, long dark nights where I've sort of thought, oh, I don't know, do I really want to be around?
Mm.
And I do understand those feelings because it is a loss of something, or you feel that you don't have control. And you are allowed to have that feeling. It's not, stiff upper lips sort of don't do that, because that doesn't work. It's not good for you. And psychologically, it doesn't work. Tell me more about people who inspire you, because you inspire me. People who inspire you, that pick you up, or books that you read. What is it that gets you through the long dark night?
I guess there's not really like a person that I can name and say that's the person who got me through all of this. I think for me it's like personality and traits of so many people over the years who have picked themselves up from rock bottom and and are doing things and influencing people's lives with their own whys, so to speak, to go back to that, why they're doing what they're doing. I can say Taria Pitt is a huge mentor for me with everything that she's been through and that she does. I've met so many amputees over the years who just blow me away with the things that they do and that they continue to do. But I think it actually is probably more people who have recently been through something that inspire me, because I can help them in some way by offering my advice, but seeing them and watching them grow through the process, I find that hugely inspiring, because they can start off with a lying in a hospital bed and I meet them for the first time and they are about to or have just lost a leg or both legs or their hand or something, and they're really at that rock bottom point of how am I going to live my life? And I've been there, but to see them come out of that and then they get home and then all of a sudden they're walking on their new leg or legs, and then they're out doing a marathon or they're doing this and that and they're doing all sorts of, or driving their car and relearning to do all these things. I find I get huge inspiration from that, just watching people grow.
And I would think incredible support between yourselves, because you're like a big family of people who understand.
Definitely.
Do you have a favorite charity that you'd like to speak about at all?
So the walk that I'm currently doing is for Heart Kids Hawke's Bay, and I got onto that through another amputee friend of mine who owns a gym here, and he and his gym have come on board to do that. But I think Staros for me is a big one. So that was the organisation that I spoke at where I met you last year. So that's for suicide support and prevention. I have lost a family member to suicide, and I have had a lot of people in my life who have lost people to suicide as well. So that one is something that I have a lot of what's the word, empathy for, and really trying to. So there's a lot. Kids Can is another one that I support here in New Zealand, just with monetary donations to help. They buy supplies for children going to school so that they have a raincoat and shoes and socks and school bags and things like that. I'm just big on helping anyone I can.
You sure are, and you do so much for so many people, and congratulations for that too. And again, universe put in place that you were going to be doing these things.
Yep.
It's incredible how everything sort of works out when you have that positive mindset and where you say, yeah, I'm here for this. Yeah. And I'm going to take it on. And somebody with your mindset and your personality, you sure are taking it all on. That's without a doubt. Tell me more about when Craig proposed to you.
Oh, yes. So
I love it.
We were living in Brisbane at the time, and we flew over to South Island for a holiday. So we were in Christchurch, and he had organised this surprise day. So we have a joint calendar on our phones, and it had booked out this time on there, and I was like, oh, what are we doing? And he was like, well, it wouldn't be a surprise if I tell you what we're doing, so anyway, you'll be fine. And I'm a bit of a control freak, so I wanted to know, like, what do I wear, where are we going, blah blah blah. The weather was awful, so am I going to get wet, do I need a jacket, all these things. So then it was my way of trying to find out what we were doing, but it didn't work. So then he blindfolded me and put me in the car and drove us around and around, and I had no idea where we were. I couldn't see a thing. And then he walks me into this place and sits me down, and I can hear sort of whispering and stuff. And then he's like, okay, you can take off the blindfold. And standing right in front of me was Richie McCaw. So I'm a bit of a fan of Richie and always have been. So I was kind of like, oh my God, like a giggling teenager. But anyway, and then Richie took us for a helicopter flight over Christchurch and Littleton and out over the bays and stuff, and it was absolutely amazing, and just such a humble, lovely guy, so down to earth, and just really easy to chat to. And then we got back to the helipad. The weather had still been pretty bad, but it wasn't raining or anything. It was just quite foggy. So we got back to the helipad, and Craig said, oh, I've got one more surprise, and he pulls out this big box from a bag, and I was like, what is he doing? And in it was a blow-up diamond ring that fitted over my arm, because he said, what else do you get for the girl with no fingers? And he got down on one knee and proposed in front of Richie McCaw. So
lovely.
Yeah, so I don't think Richie quite knew what to do. He felt a bit awkward, so he sort of was like, do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? And then, I've since had got a diamond bracelet made. So no fingers means more diamonds.
Well, how clever of you, girl. I mean, you get more diamonds around that wrist of yours.
Yes. So
well done. Yeah. Good girl.
Yeah. So no wedding date planned as yet. So that was 3 years ago in September this year. But we're building the house, and we'll wait for the house to finish, and then we can hopefully set a date for maybe next year somewhere. So, yeah, a bit exciting.
And of course is that jolly exciting? I mean, I have visual of you at the moment, and of course this is a podcast, but your background there is pretty spectacular. So good for you with your house. Oh, it's beautiful.
This is just our rental house.
Oh, is this just our rental house? Excuse me. It's very tastefully decorated.
And it came fully furnished too, so we didn't have to worry about any furniture or anything. So we're very lucky to have what we have. And our beautiful landlords, they live in France. So so it's very, very lovely decorations and furniture and things. But no, our house is almost finished, but it's been almost finished for the last few months. So we're nearly there.
Well, there you are. You got your dream house coming on, and a diamond bracelet and all of that as well. Wow. Tell us more about your book that you're writing.
Yes.
When will it be When will it be published? People are going to be wanting to read that.
Yeah. Well, I need to find someone. So if anyone is listening that would like to help me write my book, that would be much appreciated. Because I feel like I'm just putting everything down, and then and I'm not even 5% through the journey yet, and I feel like I've written thousands of words already. So I'm probably just raving on a bit too much in it with what I've got. But I'm sure, that there's someone out there that can help at least try and structure it in a way that so that I can write to it. So it is my goal to get it finished this year and get it out there. So I need to get on.
Without a doubt, it's going to be I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be a bestseller because you're a bestseller. Korrin, tell us more about how the listeners can get in touch with you for speaking engagements, for any of these amazing things that you offer to the public.
Absolutely. So the best way probably to get in touch with me is through my website. So my website is www.korrin.nz. So it's KORRIN.nz. There is a contact section in there. Otherwise, social media. So I'm on Facebook. Korrin Life Unlimited is my public page. I've got Instagram and Twitter, so just at Korrin Barrett for both of those. LinkedIn, and then email is just hello@korrin.nz. So any of those ways, more than happy for anyone to contact me, even just for a chat, that's fine. So it's, I constantly get messages from people from around the world, so it's quite exciting, and I've been able to meet up with some of these people that I've met through Facebook and Instagram and things, which has been quite fun too. So.
This is just a recap, and I'll give you two of the most important ones. Korrin's email, hello@Korrin, KORRIN.NZ. NZ stands for New Zealand. And you can get hold of her on her website, which is www.korrin.nz/. Korrin, thank you so much for spending time with me and the listeners here on Awaken Your Mind Magic. You are, you're just mind-blowing. You're amazing. I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Korrin.
No, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Oh, we will, without a doubt.
Definitely.
Why not? I've got friends in Hawke's Bay, Wayne, and all of them. I'll be on my way back again.
Yeah.
So, Korrin, thanks.
We can go for a wine.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be coming to look at your new house.
Oh, definitely.
See what you've been up to.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Thank you, Korrin. Bye-bye, darling.
Bye. Thank you.
That's Awaken Your Mind Magic for another week. If anything you've heard today has really impacted you and you want to know more, or you would just like to connect with me, then visit my website, awakenyourmindmagic.com, and reach out for a free one-on-one discovery session with me.
Silver on the outside. On the inside, silver on the outside, gold on the inside, silver on the outside.
Tune in next week, where I'll be discussing more tools to unlock your dreams and live a limitless life that you would truly love to live. I'm Susan Kathleen, and this has been Awaken Your Mind Magic.